Lots of focus right now, though, further afield in the Middle East. But again, people say, oh, Ukraine and Russia, it's not our problem. Middle East, not our problem. These have a funny habit of making themselves our problem, certainly in our politics right now. Now, we've got an SNP motion for a vote in the House of Commons tomorrow, which we know that is basically calling for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. And yes, of course, it notes, of course, somewhere down the line that, yes, Hamas should release the hostages and noting, of course, the October 7th attack was horrific, but calling for the ceasefire, and particularly by, IDF forces. Keir Starmer, his line, because he's Keir Starmer, of course, has changed slightly. Sustainable ceasefire was the line from both the Tory government and the Labour opposition. But, we know that he faces a lot of backbench disquiet over his stance on this from far left and from Muslim MPs, basically saying, they want a Gaza ceasefire now. Likely that a number of them will back this motion, unlikely to win in Parliament. This is it's a government, it's an SNP motion going through the motions, isn't it? Does any of this really matter? Is this just grandstanding, virtue signalling? We all want peace. Yes, of course we all want peace. But as we discussed a bit earlier, on what terms do you want peace is the crucial issue. It's like we want peace in Ukraine. On what terms? How much of Ukraine should be given to Vladimir Putin to get peace? How much should Israel be at risk from attacks by Hamas in the future in return for peace right now? Is this just grandstanding?
Well, on the one hand, it is, of course, the idea that Benjamin Netanyahu or the leaders of Hamas or anyone else are going to pay minute attention to what Stephen Flynn and Keir Starmer might be talking about.
I think it's all they talk about. All they talk about.
It's ridiculous, obviously. But at the same time, it has tremendous impact on our domestic politics and the general kind of mood music around this particular conflict, and also spells real trouble for the Labour Party, particularly with that Rochdale by-election coming up, which is that it has this real problem, which, on the one hand, the leadership wants to return it to a position, understandably so and rightfully so, of sticking with Israel, even to the mild extent that they have done so far. But they're being pulled back from that position because of their own MPs, because of their own membership, because of some of the electorates that they want to appeal to. And this is something that they're going to have to confront. They're going to have to... This is not the sort of issue that you can sit on the fence on forever, as Keir Starmer loves to do. This is kind of, default setting.
I think that fence pole is so far up his backside, I'm not entirely sure he could even get off the fence.
It might kill him if he tried. But it's one of those things where this is an issue where you cannot sustain that kind of creative ambiguity.
But also it's when people say, I want a ceasefire, I believe in Israel's right of self-defence, but I want a ceasefire. It's like, OK, so what is self-defence then? I mean, what is that? Just putting up a border fence? What is that? It's, again, talking it through, and every single Saturday we're seeing more and more people turning up on these marches and more of our politics being subsumed in this. And we talk about the Rochdale by-election. Again, the Gaza issue has taken over the Rochdale by-election for next week as well. This is a city that has so many problems. It is so impoverished, so many issues. And we know, of course, the grooming gangs, nothing has improved since then. All of the problems it's got. And yet candidates are talking about Gaza. I don't think that a foreign policy issue should be the deciding issue in a by-election in a town or city that needs help now.
Absolutely. And this is the Labour Party reaping what it sows to a certain extent. For a very long time, in these kinds of constituencies in quite diverse places, there has been this tendency to appeal to the electorate, not on what issues they all have in common, but on these geopolitical conflicts. You see them putting out statements about Kashmir as if that's got anything to do with one particular seat, or in this case, the question of Israel-Palestine now swarms around a seat in the northwest of England, which, as you say, has plenty of its own problems to deal with. But this is the problem, that the Labour Party is being bitten by the kind of sectarian politics that it itself has practised for a very long time. It just has now found itself on the receiving end of all of that rather than the practitioner.